Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Today we're going to be making a build for the Eldritch Knight, and that's because in the final patch for Baldur's Gate 3, this is one of the subclasses that I think with the update got a huge power spike. So in this video we're going to go over how to build out the new and improved Eldritch Knight, and I like to refer to this subclass as the forgotten subclass for the fighter class. Mr. Nomad, Eldritch Knight is actually one of the more popular classes for the subclass. There's no way that it's been forgotten. What? That can't be true. I thought everybody hated the Eldritch Knight. I gotta look this up. Huh. Well, I'll be damned. Now I gotta go redo the whole video. Alright, starting off in character creator here. Obviously, your race choice and your background are completely up to you. The class we're going with is Fighter. We pick up Second Wind here. As a bonus action, we can heal. That's always nice. We also pick up a fighting style. I would probably go with Defense. That's kind of just like a universal good one, but again, that's not really mandatory. Background wise, I think Soldier fits pretty well. And then for your abilities, you want a spread like this. You want Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Intelligence. We are going to be sort of like a hybrid class at the end of the day, doing both physical damage and magical damage, so that's why Intelligence is important. Let's move on to naming our character, and yeah, Geralt, that just sounds appropriate.
Fuck.
Now, moving to the leveling section here at level 2 fighter, we pick up Action Surge, which is going to give us another action. This will come back on short and long rest, and it's going to be really handy, especially for Eldritch Knight. But let's move on to level 3. And at level 3 here, we're going to pick up our subclass to become an Eldritch Knight, which is going to give us the class action to bind our weapon. So this means that whatever weapon we bind ourselves to, it can't be knocked out of our hands, and if we throw it, it'll return to us automatically. We also get the choice of picking up 2 cantrips. An absolute must and mandatory for this build is Booming Blade. We're going to get a lot of use out of this cantrip the entire time. So again, this is a must pick. Other than that, I would take a range option as well, something like Firebolt, that can work. And then for our spells, I'd pick up something that does AoE damage or add some sort of support or utility for us. So I'm taking something like Magic Missile and then Shield, that's a great reaction ability. But something like Thunder Wave and Burning Hands, these are both good damage options for AoE. And then additionally, we get an expanded spell. So I would take something that is not in this list here. So in this case here, I'm looking at Longstrider if you don't have somebody who can do that. And with that, we can move on to level 4. Now, level 4 here, we pick up another spell. This is where I'm going to take Thunder Wave because I want that ability to push. We also have the option to replace spells, but I'm not going to make use of that right now. So let's move to our feats here, and we've got a couple options. Obviously, low-hanging fruit, ability improvement. We would either need to bump up strength or intelligence. Hell, you can make a case for dexterity as well. Another good option here is alert. This is basically going to ensure that we are very early in the turn order, and we also can't be surprised. But I do want to take a moment to talk about Great Weapon Master, because if you are going to have a two-handed weapon, I would say absolutely yes, take Great Weapon Master. But if you're going to do something like a sword and a shield, I don't think Great Weapon Master you're going to get that much use out of, because the additional feature with Great Weapon Master here is if you get a critical hit or you kill a target with your melee weapon, you'll then be able to strike again with your bonus action. And that's really good. But in the case of Eldritch Knight, we're basically going to have that ability to weaponize our bonus action later on at level 7. Other than that, taking something like Lucky can be a good choice as well, kind of just an all-rounder to make sure you're succeeding your hits or your saving throws. I actually like Martial Adept just as a fighter. You're going to get some superiority die, and you can pick up something like Riposte. And maybe if you are going to use something like a sword and shield, taking something like Sentinel, not a bad choice either. I actually really like Sentinel. It's going to give you a lot of good opportunity strikes or reactions, kind of make you like this frontline tank character. And I'd be kicking myself if I didn't bring up Tavern Brawler, because Eldritch Knight here, because of their bind weapon ability and that that weapon will then return to you, it makes them a great Tavern Brawler to just throw stuff and do a crap ton of damage. And the best example I can give for this is that Grimforge fight. That boss there is weak to bludgeoning damage, so if you put your Eldritch Knight high up, you bind a hammer to him that does blunt damage, and then you can just throw from a safe far distance. and it'll be doing maximum damage. And every time that hammer will come back to you, and that boss fight is a joke. Other than that, I think the last feat to mention here is Savage Attacker. This is just going to be a net positive for all your damage. Maybe not as flashy, but it is really good. For this video right now, I think I'll just go with Alert and we can move on to level 5. All right, Kupos, back to leveling. Level 5 here, we pick up Extra Attack. That's sweet for a martial character. And we can move on to level 6. Now at level 6, we get another feat. I've already taken Alert, and I think this time around, I'll take Savage Attacker and call it a day. We can move on to level 7. And at level 7 here, we basically hit a pinnacle point for Eldritch Knight. And that's because we pick up War Magic when we use a cantrip. In this case, Booming Blade is what we're going to be utilizing here most of the time. We can then make a weapon attack with our bonus action. So this is why I said taking Great Weapon Master, not going to be that useful if you're using a sword and shield, but if you are using a two-handed weapon, then of course taking Great Weapon Master is still worth it. Other than War Magic here, we do pick up some level 2 spell slots. And again, I want something that does multiple target damage, some sort of AoE. So I think I'll take Scorching Rays and I'll take Shatter, and then we can move on to level 8, where this is where we're going to talk about multiclassing. Now, when it comes to multiclassing with Eldritch Knight, we can pick anything that's going to help out our martial prowess or our spell casting ability, but it has to, coincide with intelligence here. So obviously, lowest hanging fruit is Wizard. Wizard is a fantastic choice for Eldritch Knight. It's going to balance out that magic side, because even though Eldritch Knight has magic capabilities, it still leans pretty heavily into that martial side. Well, if we take Wizard here, will basically, I would say, be like an even 50-50 split, where we'll have a lot of magic options, but will also be a monster when it comes to using our weapon. In the gameplay section, I will be showing off a Wizard multi-class, but something like Ranger, Rogue, those are also very good multi-class options. And Hex Sorcerer here, if you just want to utilize meta magic, I'm thinking of Quickening, that can work too. But I don't think we need to spend too much time talking about multi-classing. I think just Wizard here is just the go-to, and it's a really good option. I'll be showing off that multi-class split in the gameplay section, but for right now, for the rest of the leveling, we're going to stick with Eldritch Knight. At level 8 Eldritch Knight here, we get an expanded spell. I'm going to take Misty Step just because of the mobility option here. I'm also going to utilize Replace Spell and take out Long Strider, and instead pick up either Mirror Image or Hold Person. Hold Person we will actually have some good synergy with a little bit later on, so I'll take that now. Feat wise, I am going to be using a two-handed weapon with this the build here, so I am going to take Great Weapon Master for that 10 extra damage, and we can move on to level 9. At level 9 here, not a lot going on. We do pick up Indomitable. It's going to be a nice survivability feature here, but other than that, let's move on to level 10. Now at level 10, we do pick up Eldritch Strike, so when we hit a target, they're going to have disadvantage on their next saving throw. This is why I want to take something like Hold Person, because having Eldritch Strike on a target, it's just going to help make sure that Hold Person does succeed. We do also get another cantrip, but at this point in the game, just kind of pick up what you want. Same goes for your spell. I'm just taking Burning Hands, and we can move on to level 11. At level 11 here, we kind of hit another pinnacle point as a fighter because we pick up Improved Extra Attack. That means that Eldritch Knight here can do 4 melee swings with no help from haste, Great Weapon Master, or a speed potion, just intrinsically just able to swing 4 times. It's really strong as a martial character. On top of that, we do have Action Surge as well. So the opening turn of an Eldritch Knight here can be absolutely devastating if they are in melee range. At level 11 here, we also pick up another spell. I'm just taking Arcane Lock, really not a big deal. Now, I am going to replace a spell here. I'm going to take out Burning Hands. I don't think it's as useful now, and I'm going to replace it with something like Mirror Image just to help out with our survivability. You obviously have some other good choices. I think Magic Weapon is pretty good, and so is Shadow Blade. So kind of just pick up what you feel like you need. Again, I'm going to go with Mirror Image, and we can move on to level 12. And at level 12 here, we're going to pick up our last feat. I think I'll just take Lucky, and then we will move to the gameplay section. Now here we are in the gameplay section. We have 2 Eldritch Knights. We have Geralt here. This is our full Eldritch Knight level 12. And you can kind of see his bar here. We like a clean hot bar around here. But then our other character, our Tab, Kahir, both characters from the Witcher universe. Anywho, he is a Eldritch Knight Wizard split. And this is why I think this is just the go-to, the easy choice for if you're going to multi-class with an Eldritch Knight, because if you take Wizard, you then can learn spells from scrolls. So in this case, I picked up Haste from a Haste scroll. When you take this split, and I think I am a 7 fighter, 5 wizard, I'm basically a powerhouse for level 3 spells. And level 3 spells in Baldur's Gate 3 are insanely strong. So we have plenty of spell slots to use them. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, we do have Arcane Ward because we're an Abjuration Wizard. I thought about going Blade Singing with this split here, but if you become a Blade Singer, you can't wear armor, essentially. And so I think Eldritch Knight, you still want to be wearing armor or have access to that heavy and medium armor. Yeah, Blade Singing it doesn't work with any armor, so that's why I went with Abjuration instead. Now, really quick talking about gear. Gear for this class, this build, I don't think is as important to talk about because at this stage in the game, you're going to have much better gear, and I think this works perfectly fine with probably anything you pick up. So the whole point in this gameplay section here is to show how effective it is with very middling bad gear that you get from Act 1. So obviously you're going to have so much better stuff by this point in the game. I will say Kethric's Warhammer here though. Everybody gets it. You have to pick up this weapon. So that's why I'm using it here with our Geralt and our two-handed Eldritch Knight, because we do want him to be like a powerhouse. Now we are going to turn on turn-based mode and we're going to do some prep skills really quick. Doing something like Mirror Image is always a good prep skill for our split wizard multi-class here. We're going to cast Haste on ourselves. And then we'll skip turn. We have Scratch here who's going to start the fight for us. So that way when we, start the encounter, everybody has all their resources available. And now that everybody's gone, Scratch, go ahead and take a nice chunk out of their leg. There you go. That's a good boy. All right, so start the encounter here. Because we have Alert, we are first. Now, because we're an Eldritch Knight and we have that war magic, we should always be using Booming Blade. Got a nice hit off there. And now we're going to be able to swing 3 more times. So this target here is probably going to die. They are also stricken. Let's leave them alive for a second and let's move to another target. And we'll just start swinging. Nice critical hit there. Just keep on wailing on them. So we got a few hits off on him. Now this is why I want to wait for this guy, because I'm going to use Action Surge. Now I get another action and I'm going to go ahead and lock him down with Hold Person, because now he's going to have disadvantage on a saving throw. We could actually, you know what? I brought a bunch of scrolls. So his saving throw for Disintegrate here is his dexterity, but I have a feeling he's not going to make it. That's just satisfying. And so I think that was a pretty good first turn. We can go ahead and end, and we can go over to our Tav here, who's the Wizard Split. And we are hasted, which means we can do 2 Booming Blades. So let's go ahead and hit them. Nice hit there, good critical. Let's go ahead and just keep swinging, and you'll see when our action becomes available again, Booming Blade will then be able to proc again. So now we're using our second action, and we're just going to hit him with Booming Blade again. And now they're down, and we can just keep swinging. Now the nice thing here is, again, I think the Eldritch Knight Wizard Split, it's half martial character, half wizard. So that's why I like Action Surge here, because you use Action Surge. Now I can just use a very devastating spell in the form of Fireball. So let's get a good Fireball throw here where we're hitting all of them and not our allies. Right here in the middle. Ooh, we can also upscale this to 4. So this is just going to be a nasty hit. Love it. Now before we end our turn, we do have an archer over there. So let's go ahead and end our turn. We're gonna take the opportunity strike here. Lucky. This always comes in handy here. Ah, well, we still took the hit anyways. But we can go ahead and get into this archer's face and then end our turn. And let's see what they do. Let's just use up all our lucky dice. We're not being really like optimal with them. We're just kind of just using them when they come up. Now we did take Shield, and Shield is a fantastic reaction ability. Going to help out with our survivability. So let's go ahead and give ourselves Shield on top of Mirror Image. They're going to have a very hard time, hitting us. Scratch here. We don't want Scratch to get in any danger. Use the best boy. Let's just get him out of the way, and we'll just leave him alone. All right, and back to Geralt here. Of course, just open up with Booming Blade. Booming Blade. It does so much damage. It's not even fair. And then we can just keep following up, because we don't really need to use Misty Step because our other fighter over there has that handled. And then we're just perfectly topped off, so we don't need to use Second Wind either. So we'll just keep swinging. Now they are stricken again, but I don't think we need to show off that again. We don't really have another scroll, or we do. We have Fireball, but that would just be kind of extending the play session longer than we need to. Now we're still not done. I'm wondering, can we get close enough for Misty Step? We sure can. And that did take up our bonus action, so now they're just in position for next turn if needs be. But considering the wizard split here has haste, don't think that's going to be necessary. We can just keep swinging. We forgot to use booming blade first, but not a problem. And just they never really stood a chance. One little pummel strike. All right, we missed it. Jeez, great googly moogly, Kupo just couldn't finish the fight, could you? We're gonna use shield. Just use up all our lucky dice. Let's have you redeem yourself a little bit. Yeah. Easy peasy. Fighters are just so strong. Eldritch Knight with them. Get that wizard multi-class going, or not. You don't really have to. Just an absolute powerhouse. I will say I like this wizard variant a lot. We didn't use up that many spell slots. Just a big fan of Eldritch Knight now. Just a huge powerhouse because of Booming Blade and what that's done for the subclass. But anyways, that's the build. That's the video. You guys let me know how you're enjoying Eldritch Knight, and if you really do think that, you know, Champion is that bad as a fighter, might need to make a build on them. Anywho, that is the video. I will see you guys next time. Peace and take care.